Let's be perfectly clear about something. There's a version of you that you haven't met yet. A version so cold, so calculated, so relentlessly consistent that if you met them today, you probably wouldn't even recognize them. You might even fear them. See, most people think discipline is about, waking up early or eating a salad. They've got it all wrong. This isn't about self-help. This is about revealing how discipline forges an ordinary person into someone truly formidable, someone dangerous. Look, it really boils down to two kinds of people. On one side, you've got the predictable. This person talks a big game. They're always planning, always about to start. They delay. Their entire life is dictated by the random weather of their feelings. But then you have the dangerous. They don't talk, they act. They don't make plans, they execute them. They follow through, not when they feel like it, but because they decided they would. Now, at first glance, these two can look pretty similar, but give it time. One stays exactly where they are, average. The other, they become unstoppable. So you have to ask yourself, which one are you?
And this is the fundamental truth you have to confront right now. The gap between who you are and who you could be, it has absolutely nothing to do with your talent or your potential. Everybody has potential. It's cheap. The gap exists because of a lack of discipline, a lack of control. Now, that's not an insult. Think of it as a diagnosis. And the moment you accept it is the moment you can finally start the real work.
Okay, let's really get into this. Most people out there are frankly harmless. And it's not because they're good people. It's because they are inconsistent. They're predictable. Their inaction, their emotional chaos, their complete inability to follow through on the promises they make to themselves, it makes them easy to read, easy to manage, and ultimately easy to just ignore. The powerful, though, they're a completely different species. So where does all this predictability come from? Well, just look around. Modern life is basically engineered to make you soft. Your food, your entertainment, your environment, everything is designed to eliminate friction and just sedate you. So laziness isn't really your core problem. Your real problem is an addiction to comfort. It's a worship of the easy path. And that worship produces a weak, undisciplined mind that just recoils at the first sign of real effort. Does any of this sound familiar? The undisciplined life is just a constant loop of self-betrayal. You make these promises to yourself in the morning that are completely forgotten by noon. You post on social media about your new chapter before you've even done a single day of work, just looking for applause for an effort you haven't even made yet. You let one bad mood completely derail an entire day of progress. And then you blame everything else, your past, your situation, your boss, anything but the simple, painful truth. The problem isn't the situation, it's your pattern. And look, to be fair, this isn't just some failure of character on your part. This is a biological reality. You are in a constant war with your own brain's ancient programming. And it's a war you've been losing, probably because you don't even understand the enemy you're up against. So there's this concept from neuroscientist Andrew Huberman called limbic friction. You know what that is. It's that massive booming voice in your head that screams at you to stay in bed, to eat the junk food, to put off the hard work until tomorrow. This isn't a flaw in your system. It's a feature. Your brain evolved as a survival mechanism. Its number one goal is to conserve energy and avoid risk. Your brain is not, and it never was, a success mechanism. To be great, you have to violently override that default programming. And this right here, this brings us to the most critical point. This is the entire game. Most people, the predictable ones, they consult their feelings before they act. Do I feel like it? The disciplined person acts first and lets their feelings catch up later, if they ever do. They treat their emotions like the weather. Yeah, they'll acknowledge the storm, but they're not about to cancel the mission because of it. Control over yourself, that is the highest form of power there is. Now, the key thing to get here is that this ability to override your internal resistance, it's not some magical gift you're born with. It's a skill. The force we call willpower, it's really just top-down control. It's the advanced part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, overriding the primitive, impulsive part. And just like a muscle, you can train it. It gets stronger with every single rep, every single time you choose to act against that friction. So if willpower is a muscle, how do we train it? Well, the first thing we have to do is completely destroy a myth. The myth that you need to feel motivated. The myth that you have to be passionate. These are just comfortable lies sold to the masses to keep them passive and waiting. So you've got two approaches. On the left, there's the myth. Waiting for the right mood to strike, hoping for a spark of passion. This is just a recipe for permanent failure, because feelings are unreliable. But on the right, that's the reality of the dangerous person. They don't wait for motivation. They build a system. They don't rely on passion. They rely on duty. They act because it's on the schedule, period. Mood doesn't enter the equation. Their actions are simply not up for negotiation. And don't ever confuse an emotional outburst with strength. Rage is the cheapest fuel on the planet. Anyone can go off when they're mad. It's undisciplined, it's reactive, and it burns out fast. Real power, the kind that actually makes people nervous, is quiet. It's that cold, calculated, silent control you have over yourself when everything inside you just wants to scream. It's the patience to not react, to not explain yourself, to just keep executing the plan. That is what makes you dangerous. So how do we actually build this? First, we have to stop thinking about discipline as some kind of self-help tool to feel better. It's not. You need to start thinking of it as a weapon, a cold, strategic system you build to conquer your own weakness and impose your will on the world. So here's the system. It's a 5-step process designed to systematically remove your weakness and build unstoppable momentum. Step 1, you're going to kill morning choice. Step 2, build an autopilot routine. Step 3, remove emotional weather from your decision-making. Step 4, weaponize your silence. And step 5, you raise the standards so damn high that mediocrity simply can't survive around you. All right, the foundation of all of this is what I call the autopilot routine. It has 3 pillars, and they are non-negotiable. First, a physical anchor. The second you wake up, you move. 50 push-ups, a 10-minute walk, I don't care. Something to immediately tell your body that it obeys commands, not feelings. Second, digital silence. Your phone is your biggest enemy in the morning. For the first 90 minutes of the day, it might as well not exist. You need to start your day in reality, not in digital stimulation. And third, a micro work block. 10 to 20 minutes of focused action on your single most important task. This trains your brain. Mornings mean productivity, not distraction. Now, let's talk about weaponizing silence. The average person broadcasts their every intention. They want validation before they've earned a thing. You have to do the exact opposite. Become a ghost. Build in the dark. Let them wonder what you're up to. When you stop explaining yourself, you create this power vacuum. And when you finally reemerge, you won't have to announce that you've changed. Trust me, they will feel it. Your results will be the only statement you'll ever need to make. And this brings us to that final principle, raising the standard. See, true strength isn't about having this limitless, unfocused, I can do anything potential. It's about creating parameters, rules. It's the ability to say, no, I don't do that. I don't go there. I don't associate with that. You define your identity by the standards you refuse to lower for anyone or anything. That's when you become focused, sharp, and truly powerful. Now, when you start to implement this system, something profound begins to happen. It's a transformation that happens first on the inside, in total silence, long before anyone on the outside can see it. But eventually, they will see it. I want you to think of yourself as a system. An undisciplined person is an unstable, chaotic system. They're unreliable to other people, and more importantly, they are unreliable to themselves. They produce random, inconsistent results. A disciplined person, on the other hand, becomes an optimized system. They are predictable in their output, reliable in their execution. They produce consistent, high-quality results every single time. They become inevitable. But a transformation like this, it requires a price. You have to be willing to hold a funeral for the person you used to be. You literally have to kill the version of you that needs to be liked, the one that seeks approval from the herd. You have to kill the version that apologizes for being ambitious, the one that makes itself small to make other people feel comfortable. It's an act of self-destruction so that a much stronger self can emerge from the ashes. And what's the outcome of all this? You walk into a room and you command respect without having to say a single word. You become immune to circumstance because your actions are no longer tied to how you feel or what's happening around you. People just feel a shift in your presence. You move from being predictable and harmless to unpredictable and unstoppable. So let's bring this all home with one final stark truth. Your failures in life are not a reflection of you being weak or not having enough talent. They are a direct result of your inability to control yourself. That's it. That is the entire game. And that leaves us right here with one last question. I want you to answer it honestly to yourself in the silence. Are you someone who follows through, or are you just someone who talks? The choice of who you're going to be tomorrow is embedded in that answer. You have work to do.